Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today for our WESIS webinar. My name is Morgan Garland. I am the operations manager with WESIS, and with us today we have Cecile from IBM, and she's going to be sharing her career path and her unconventional story. With that, Cecile, I'm going to turn it over to you if you'd like to introduce yourself, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation.
Yes. Let me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cecile, and I am a hacker with IBM X-Force Red. Um, I am excited to be here today because when I was trying to look into cybersecurity,
Apologies, everybody. I think Cecile may have froze and she might have dropped and had to reconnect.
yes, I am back. I'm not sure exactly what just happened.
Okay.
Well, like I was saying, I'm very excited to be here today and talk to you guys about a career path in cybersecurity, and hopefully, my goal here is to be able to like at least give you the motivation to take that step that you need to, or just answer some of your biggest question through my story, and give you really the motivation to like take that step and to advance your career or to get into cybersecurity. So the first thing that I will go, I just need a little quick, a, a little quick poll because I want to know like who's in the room. So can you please take this poll? It's gonna be like take like 1 minute for you to record your answer. So I could just it's just for my for me to know like who's in the room and who I'm talking to. So I would appreciate if you could do that. Okay. Anybody? I mean, trying to see if I could see the poll. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Um, this is pretty much kind of like the outline of the webinar. What we would talk about. I will go ahead and which I think I already did introduce myself. I will tell you a little bit about IBM X Force Red. Then we will go into my story, and like I say, I hope that everything within this presentation will be able to answer some of the questions, especially if you are trying to get into cybersecurity. Um, so I would, like I say in the beginning, my name is Cecile Monger. I am a hacker with IBM X-Force Red. My expertise actually lays on network testing and open source intelligence techniques. I also work with our threat intel team to I also help with our threat intel team and to write reports for clients and investigations in the dark web. So that's pretty much overall what I do with IBM. What is X Force Red? I get that question a lot, especially when I tell somebody that I am a hacker with IBM. IBM actually have a global team of hackers, and what we do is companies and organizations hire us to try to break into the system to see if we can uncover any vulnerabilities, and any vulnerability that we uncover we let the client know, and we also give them pointer on how to like fix the vulnerability. So our mission is hacking anything to secure everything. Some of the service that IBM X-Force Red actually offer is penetration testing, vulnerability management, adversary simulation, which is pretty much our red team going against the company blue team to see how prepared they are to respond to any incidents. Then we also have physical penetration testing, which is the which are assignment that take us physically to the client building to see if we could use any type of like social engineering or any type of vulnerability that we discover about their security to be able to physically penetrate the company system and get the information that that they're trying to protect. We also provide open source intelligence techniques, which is pretty much going up through the internet and helping identify company footprints and so that they will know exactly what's available to on the internet. And also, we also do some social engineering assignments where it could be either phishing or company could hire us to do like phishing or phishing assignments. I am not able to see myself on the side, so I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm gonna go ahead and so one of the reasons I'm very excited to be here today is because um, once I started thinking about cybersecurity as a career path, I absolutely knew nothing about it. And I was talking earlier, and I said there's so much that comes out and make the job and the industry and everything so much intimidating. And sometimes you just need that person to be like, hey, you could do this, or that person that actually show you um, the simplest side of it. Because when we are outsider looking in, it looks like a very complicated and complex world to be in. So my story, I actually have a background in criminal justice. I went to school and got a degree in criminal justice. I was going to go to law school, and but right after college, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to make money. So law school could wait. So I started working as a case manager for a juvenile court. I did that couple years and then realized that my interest wasn't there, and I think that just the pay within that industry was just kind of like limited. So I wanted to look for something different, to do something different. So that got me back on the internet, trying to like researching different things. So I even after that I even worked as an insurance adjuster, just picking up projects during like hurricanes and different things like that. So my background, I have absolutely no technical background. But one day, as everybody, as we all are on the internet, just kind of like looking for different opportunity, because I even got into like event planning and different entrepreneurial adventure. That kind of got me into like a tough place, because I eventually got as I'm doing all this online, not really knowing what security is, what it needs to be, what it looked like, I was hacked. So the next one day, I just woke up and get onto my computer. I have like a ransom note asking me to give $500 and with the name of the person and the city and state that I needed to send the money to if I needed to get my computer back. Without even thinking twice, all I was thinking about it was my computer. So I went after and sent the money via Western Union. And at this point, nothing changed with my computer. Within 24 hours, my computer was still locked. Nobody did anything. So I was like, huh, I'm interested in how they did that. I'm just very curious about the whole process and how they was able to actually encrypt my computer. So that kind of like, this was the very first time I asked myself, how the computer work, how the network communicates, how was they able to like come through all, why me, and how was I the person that was what kind of vulnerability they find on me to be able to do that to me. So once that curiosity came into my head, I just did a whole bunch of like self-studying, learning around and trying to figure out. So eventually that curiosity kind of grew into like a passion. Now I was on a mission to trying to track my attacker down. So I started learning more, getting into more just different techniques and different tools of hacking. So one of the things that the original thing that I did, the basic thing that I could have done was trying to Google the name, trying to see if it comes with anything. But these people was criminal and they was very good at hiding all the tracks. So I came across a OSINT framework on a computer online that was giving all kinds of different tools to trying to like pull up information that you probably could miss online if you're just using basic Googles and things. So eventually, I came across one tool that I use, and I was able to pull out what information on the name that was given to me, and it was an old MySpace page. The old MySpace page was just, I mean, it seemed like nothing. Like looking, just originally just looking, it seemed like nothing. It gave me no information. I had no contact, no anything. But what I came to learn, it gave me something very interesting, which was some of the person habits. And also another thing that really made it stand out was the last name of the person where I sent the money to was a very unique last name. It wasn't just a common name. So that actually really helped me in narrowing down um, my target. So eventually, I continued to work. So while I was doing this, because they kind of like had access to my computer, and I have saved all my password, including my banking information and everything. So not just the money that I sent, my bank, they start like withdrawing money from my bank. I called my bank, I asked my bank, I told my bank about it. My bank wanted to investigate, so I didn't have any time for the bank to investigate. So I kind of took that into my own hand and start like looking more, digging more into different tools, different techniques that will help me pretty much, at least in the minimum, track my attacker or just kind of get back at them. So as time passed, I was able to find this MySpace page. The MySpace page gave me one thing. It gave me context, and it also kind of like confirmed that that person is a person, and I can that I could reach that to. So the one thing that I had was the last name that was very unique, and I couldn't find nothing much more about it online. So I decided to go offline and order the yellow pages. Once or the yellow page from the city and state. So once I got the yellow page, I went through the page. It was about 5 people with the same last name. So I start also looking into these people online, and one person I was able to find their phone number. So I call the phone number, and I asked for the guy, and the lady who answered the phone said he doesn't live here, and I don't know why he gave you my number. And I was like, that's strange because he just gave me your number. And that pretext that I saw on the MySpace kind of came to play. And I was like, we are playing in a band later on this evening, and this is the number he gave me. And she turned around and passed over his cell phone number. So now have his cell phone number, and I reached out to him. And the first thing was, okay, I know what's going on. You got my money, and the first question the guy will ask me was, "Which one are you?" I was like, "Really? How many people do you have?" He's like, "Up." So he come to find out he was just a middle person in a bigger scheme of like online scam, right? So he was just the middle person that would just take the money and send it over to the person. So I got him to give me all the information that he had, because I explained to him, because he didn't even know what was going on. So he gave me the small information that he had on the next person, and that's kind of how I kind of build up. So now I start doing research and start looking into the next person, and got more information and start looking to the next person, until I uncovered this whole operation out of London, right? because I was able to like track that very first guy down, the group of scammer was very interested in finding out how I was able to do that. So they gave me a call. I picked up and we talked back and forth, and I was like, I don't really need any problem. I have a lot of information on you, and I could just let everything go if you return all my money. And the upper guy, he approved and he agreed to return my money. And I was like, okay, so once he returned my money, I'll tell him exactly how I got to them. Um, so he never returned my money, and at this point, just promise watching uh, YouTube, just googling different techniques, different things. I was able to like create a phishing email that I sent back to them, which was pretty much just saying that, hey, I've waited for you to return my money. This is the information that I have on you. I gave them like some of the information that I know that was surprising to them, and then it was also a link to the email for them to view like all the information that I have out on them. So they end up clicking the link, and I end up encrypting their computer at the end. And so they call me back, transfer all my money back into my account. Then I went to my bank. Then I closed the account and then reopen a different account. Right. So once that was done, I'm like, oh, this seemed pretty easy. This seemed pretty interesting. And that's pretty much where my love and my interest really grew in about hacking. And I started just kind of like continue self-learning, the self-learning process. But eventually, of course, like eventually I went here and took a boot camp that pretty much gave me the training that I need to actually land my job as a cybersecurity professional. So that would be my story. We're going to have questions at the end. So hopefully, if you have any questions, just please wait till the end. And I will try to answer as many questions as I can. So my career path, as I told you, I eventually just through like self-learning and doing different things, right? I was able to like learn a lot on my own. And one thing that I kind of just want to touch on, a lot of time when we ask for, I know that was also an issue with me when I asked for a career path, like, hey, what do you think I should do to get into this level? You get many people that will say, oh, get a job answering phone as incidents this, and then do this, and then do that. So they give different step, different path that you always get. But I'm just kind of here to tell you that within this industry, you have the room to be able to create your own path. Because I was hired as a hacker directly and did not have to go through like uh, this step, that step, IT support, and all these other steps that most people would tell you to go through. You have the ability to actually create your own path because there is room for it. So basically, I went to school. I took a boot camp. It was like a 6-7 month boot camp to kind of like hone my skills, and then also get a certification. So after I did that. What I did was I did there was this TV station in my town that I used to stream all the time. So one day I was online. At this point, I'm looking at everything with a security goggle. Like I'm just paying attention to everything, security when I go to a website. So I called them because I've noticed something on their website. And I talked to the general manager there, and I was like, hey, do you have any, keep in mind, this is a small company. I'm like, do you have anybody working on your security? They were like, no, we have one IT person and this and that. And I wanted to come, and I just told them I wanted to come in to be able to talk to somebody about what I've noticed on the website. And they was open to it. So I went there and I started talking. And all of a sudden I was like, I could see if I could help, right? All of a sudden they was like, sure, let's get that, let's put that together. But honestly, I was still in school, I was still doing the boot camp, I didn't have the skill, I didn't even know what I mean, I knew what I was looking at, but I really didn't know the extent I have to go to fix the problem. um, but I remember going back to my teacher and was like, and told him what happened, and he encouraged me. He said, you should totally do it. And I was like, but I don't know. But he ended up just giving me a roadmap to what I needed to do, which was the list of skills and everything and tools that I needed to use to be able to like do an inventory on their system, see what's outdated, like update everything. And I was able to do that. And the very first thing, but what I got out of the whole thing, I did it for free, but what I got out of it was a recommendation letter stating what I did with them, how was it to work with me, and why would they recommend me. Once I was able to attach this letter with my applications, it changed a lot of things for me. So that was pretty much my path. I did some self study at the beginning, then end up going to a certification boot camp. After doing the certification boot camp, I went ahead and started doing personal projects. Um, and any personal project that would give me anything to that could prove that I am capable of doing the work that I'm saying that I could do. I went after, whether it was just building my own network, working with like very small companies to help them with the system, or just going to hack the box, getting badges, like anything that would like give that confirmation to anybody that I'm able to do this. I was going after it. So that was pretty much my path. Um, my biggest obstacle, I think I kind of like covered this a little bit, but my biggest obstacle was really not having a technical background, really coming out of nowhere with no technical background and now trying to figure out what to do. Um, the story I told earlier about just constantly working on personal project, constantly finding things to do, and especially that would give me like something tangible to show that I know what I'm talking about and I am capable. I've did it. Even started like a blog talking about security for just kind of like everyday people, securing their like online lives and things like that. So and I had all that. I started putting all that together so that I could create my own path. So that I because at this point I up to right now I have not really like worked with technology, and then I don't have any background. And a lot of the time in resumes when I start looking, those are some of the things that they was looking at. It was always looking at how your experience and what do you have to offer. But when I was able to offer some of the for example, my recommendation letters, any of the badge or any like link to my blog that was talking about the security, they I was able to like advance, at least get into the door to like talk to people about the job. So yeah, so this is how I overcame my biggest obstacle. um, and I think that another one of the big things for me was me even thinking that I could do that. So I have to overcome myself too. Um, Everything seems very intimidating from the outside, and it's kind of like you talk to people, and everybody just kind of have their own different way of telling you what to how to get through there and what to do, and all good information, but you kind of have to be able to like filter and see what path and what direction you could take and really understand what your strengths are. And yes, So here are the actually the best advices that I got as I was trying to get into cybersecurity. I think the biggest one for me was identifying an area of interest, and learn everything I can about it. Because initially, when I was working on trying to get into cybersecurity, it was just kind of like, man, I want to get into cybersecurity. So what can I do? So it's kind of like cybersecurity is so wide, it's so big. You don't even know where to start and how to go, and you're trying to learn everything because you're trying to be all over the place and trying to figure out what you want. But that actually was not as productive to me than when I was like, you know what, I want to go into red teaming. I want to work as a hacker. I want to be in somebody red team. I want to do pen testing. And at that point, I started trying to learn everything that I can to be able to speak on what I could do as a pen tester, and continues to like look for trying to capture the flag, get badges, anything that would be able to like help me convince an employee that I could do this, right? So then all of a sudden, that big scope of cybersecurity became very small to me, and there was actually only very specific skills and tools that I needed to focus on. So that really helped because that took a lot of stress away from me, and that was a lot more effective to me than just casting a wide net out there and caching. Um, so working on personal project, we I already kind of touched on that too. That was another really good one. Versus having like a whole bunch of jobs that has nothing to do with cybersecurity on your resume, you could turn uh, some of your personal project into an experience, right? For example, create like a space for your within your resume that would say, for example, hacking experience, and then you could do like maybe external um, network testing. And if you ever done anything within that area, you could kind of like, just as if it was um, a job bulletin, you add like the different bulletin, at least to be able to hit the keywords that you always need to have in most of these job application that people that they're taking online. So that versus just having like all these background like, jobs that has nothing to do with uh, the technology world or the industry, I would recommend just revamping that, because that's what also helped me. um, the next thing will be just networking. The ability to be able to just kind of like talk to people that are within this industry, especially when you already like laser focus on one particular area, it becomes a lot easy to meeting people, and just surrounding yourself with people that are, that are with industry, keep up with the news and everything that is going on. Though one more thing that I did not put on this slide that is very important to me, that I also feel like once I understood that, like it was a lot easier for me to really talk to a potential employee about what I'm able to bring to the table, right? Outside of like, oh, I'm very new at this and I need you to give me a chance. um Understanding your why, like why do you want to get into this particular field. Once you are able to understand what that is that gets you going within like your attraction within the field, that will make it so much easier to talk about a potential job opportunity with a lot more passion and with a lot more conviction. And I feel like that also really helped me a whole lot. Once I identify what my why, once I really tuned in, I didn't identify, it was always there. But once I really tuned in into what was my why, I was really, really able to like get in front of anybody and really talk very like like with conviction on this on the topic, and and what would make me a good candidate. So I wanted to go ahead and just give you few things to remember, right? Because these are some of the things that kind of kept me up at night when I was trying to get into cybersecurity. Like, okay, I'm doing all this training. Okay, I'm learning all this, like, but you know, am I actually even good enough? Can I get through this process? So here are a few things that kind of kept me up at night. I don't have the technical background. And what I said, like I said earlier, don't sleep on your soft skills, right? As I was trying to get into cybersecurity, I remember talking to a friend of mine who was a pen tester. He was actually the person that made me understand that once you understand certain things, it become very easy and very practical to do some of the work that you need to do. Um, and he encouraged me and say, and he thought that I could do it. And he brought up, because my background is pretty much more in criminal justice. I have very heavy investigative, like, background, so I could dig anything up, I could figure it out, I could find this. And then he told me that, that this is a very good skill for a hacker to have. So um if you could play up on that talent and on that skill that you already have, you could become um you could easily get understand what all the other things that you need to do into becoming a hacker. The 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 technical skill could be learned, right? So my ability to be able to, like, work with people, my ability to just have, like, that detail oriented, that my ability to, to kind of like approach things with no fear, my ability to, like, find workaround on things, are actually are good skills to have if you're thinking about getting into hacking, right? So don't sleep on your soft skill, identify them, and really know how those could help with your pursuit in your career. um, Another thing was, it just seemed like it was so much. Uh, I could never learn all these technical skills, right? I don't really think that before they hire you, they expect you to know everything, right? They expect you to know the basic, what you need to know in order to be able to, like, to get the job done. But as far as skills and learning, cybersecurity is growing every time, especially hacking. And at X-Force Red, we're trying to keep up with, like, what the bad guys are doing now, this, that, and then, so it's always something coming up. So it's always learning. It's always continue to learn. So nobody really expect. I think it would be asking for too much if an employer just say, we want you to know everything. So just keep in mind that, do what you do the basic, and once you identify which area you want to go in, learn all the skills, learn all the tools and everything that you need to be good, and to be able to, like, vocalize and talk about this. And I think you should be fine. So the last thing that really kept me up was, at this point, I really don't have a job. I'm just trying to, like, get into career change. I'm doing, like, small gigs here and there. um and I'm trying to get into cybersecurity. There's certification that are needed. There's this, I mean, a lot of all this looks like I needed to spend money to get into, and money I really didn't have. um and it's kind of like, oh, take security plus, take certify yourself as a hacker, do this, do that. That kind of became overwhelming, and I find myself trying to, like, get the money or trying to find different organization that could pay for the certification and things like that. And things take time, and I'm sitting there and I need to make a move. Um, so that kind of like that was keeping me up at night until I decided to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with what I have and see what comes back. So outside of just my certification, my bootcamp certification, and everything else that I did, I was able to secure the job, and which is the job IBM Exforce Red. Um, so if I had to say one thing is, do not wait until you get all your certifications. I mean, those are good things. You could work towards them because that's another way for you to prove that you know what you're talking about. But there are so many other ways for you to be able to prove that and to be able to learn the skills and to be able to really become proficient in what you're doing. So if you are working towards certification, continue to work towards them. But if you need to start, if you're looking for a job right now, I would recommend that you would just start applying without those certifications. At least say, I'm working on this certification or that, and not wait until you get so many certifications to do so. Because once I got hired and once I was already in the company, then we start talking about me getting certified and this certified that, and the company is helping with that. So that is also an that is something that you shouldn't forget about and just kind of like focus, like kind of spend a lot of your time focusing on getting the certifications and things like that. The certifications are good. If you are working on them, go ahead. If you have the money, go ahead. But if you don't have it, like I was, you could either find organization that offer those like that offer like scholarships or different things for those certifications. Oh, you could just jump out there without any and see what you could have. And if you kind of follow some of the stuff that worked for me, maybe it might work for you. That's just it's just worth to take that chance. So I am here to take questions at this point.
All right. Cecile, thank you so much. I'm going to come back on. Hi. So I think we lost your camera at the beginning. I think there was just a little glitch. I don't know if you are able to get it back on in the settings right at the top of the Bright Talk screen or not. But if not, we can still hear you. We just can't see you.
Um, uh,
Yeah.
okay, hold on one second. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah.
Um,
As you're looking at that, I just want to thank you. I mean, your story is such an inspiration. I mean, everybody, there's so many comments in here thanking you and just letting you know how inspiring your story is. So thank you for sharing it with us. You shared some great tips too, and how you've used your soft skills to get where you are today. I think that's all, things that the whole community needs to hear. So thank you for those tips too. When you're ready, let me know if you were able to look at that or not, and then I can just go. We do have a lot of questions. We will try to get to all of these. Some of them were answered during Cecile's presentation, but I'll kind of go ahead and start through these. Cecile,
I'm so sorry. Can you not see me still?
no, I cannot see you here. Let's see. No, I don't know where you went.
Mm, camera. Wow. Okay, I guess if you could hear me, that's what
I know everybody would love to see you.
I'm trying to get it.
Yeah, let's maybe I could go back to page 1 of your slide so we can see your picture up there. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and put that on. Um, and then I will pop on the side for you all. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and take this one for you, Cecile. Here, let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. This was from early on when you started and you were sharing your story about getting hacked. Where did you get your code for the malware?
This has been so a while back. Just I pretty much just kind of Googled and came across several information, like some GitHub pages and things like that. And I just kind of looked like harder through some of these things and was able to actually find something for the for the malware. So that's what very crazy, because a lot of these things actually very available if you know like what to Google and what to look up.
Okay, very good. And we have a lot of people here who want to know if you can share some of the resources that you used for your self-learning and what boot camp you did.
Yes, I did a boot camp with Kingsland University. It was like a 7 months boot camp. Um, and I did a lot of was it security with Chuck? Uh, I mean, I could send the resources. I could text them on the thing, but it was just a whole bunch. It was several different. I follow seven different pages on on Instagram. Many different YouTube channels that I find, like Chuck was one of them that was very interesting. He kind of just goes step by step, like anybody trying to learn, getting into cybersecurity. Um, and Cyber Ray was actually also one of the resources that I used. And then I also use my friends, anybody who was in the uh, anybody around me that was into anything remotely close to security, right? If I had any questions, because like had to like put like starting into this, I didn't even know how to like get a IP address out, right? So I remember calling my friends. It was like, hey, what is an IP address and where do I get it? And how do I find out what mine is and things like that. So I pretty much used every resource that I had around me and everybody that I had around me, and joining like many of the meetup groups that was talking about cybersecurity coding or anything like that. I kind of like, I just kind of grab my information all over the place. Like I said earlier, it was very intimidating with all that information because everybody's giving you different information. So you take all that information, then you figure out what will work best for you and what you're going to make out of the information that you got.
That's great. Um, what certification did you earn?
It was just a cybersecurity certification for completing the boot camp. That's the only one before I got the job. That's the only one that I got. Before then, I started working and trying to get Security Plus, but I got hired way before I can even come up with the money to, to take Security Plus. And so once I got into IBM, of course, um, the ethical hacking certification was one of the ones that I worked on.
Okay. We have another question here for you. What tips can you share with end users that will help prevent a cyber attack?
Oh my God. I do this on the regular. What uh what tips that I would talk to an end user is, a lot of us, including myself, do not really know what makes us vulnerable online, right? I always talk about, I feel like people create password just because a platform say enter a password here, right? They really don't grasp the severity, the importance of what password actually supposed to do. And I say that because I mean, I work on the dark web a lot, right? So I see a lot of like breaches, like all these password dumped and things like that. And some of the most basics, like you could see like password that are just very basic, password that when you go look into, this is somebody's child's name, password that are so. I feel the password is actually one of the biggest thing, like we start with, to try to start to protect ourselves online. But I think what is even more important than a password is to understand what your threats are. because as an end user, we all have different level of threats, right? So me, for example, who work for a company like IBM, somebody might come after, an attacker might come after me for different reasons, right? Because they could like think that they probably could get something through me to get to IBM. If you are somebody who's like an entrepreneur and you like deal with other people information and things like that, so you have another level of security. But I think that the average person just doesn't grasp that concept, and we all just do, whatever that we do, and that's why people are like accounts are getting taken over all the time. So if I have a if I have to tell the average person, is to just pretty much know where your information is, pretty much know what accounts you have online, what kind of information you have in it, and what are the appropriate tools you need to use to be able to secure this to secure the information that you have. Sometimes it's just a password. Sometimes it will be a password and a VPN, and sometimes it could be several different ways. So that's what I would say. And I'm sorry, I'm going diving deep into this because that's actually a topic that hit close to my heart because of that, like how I started, and and really that's what really motivated and inspired my career eventually, because I came as an end user who was attacked online, and just sort of talking about attack vectors and different ways that regular people could protect themselves online. That is a topic that hit very close to me. So
That's
yes, sorry for all the talk.
no, that's great. I did have somebody to back to the question before about resources. Somebody had recommended Swigger Academy for beginners and web application.
Yes.
So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, like for a hacker specific resource, you could look into Hack the Box, try Hack Me,
Okay.
um, and just I think if you just Google more like like hacking tools and different things like that, you will come across a lot of these resources. I think the big problem is usually people really knowing and identifying what they want to do, and like trying to find the right resources for it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and everybody will receive a recording of the webinar today, and then we can work on getting you all the resources to Cecile. If you have anything you want to put together, we can send that out. Uh,
Yes, I
but
will.
I'll go back to one of these questions. Given the fact that so many people are now working from home and using different service providers to connect to the internet, what products and services would you recommend to ISPs so that they can ensure their networks are secure? I don't think cybersecurity is something that end users should worry about. So, what does IBM offer to the Xfinities, AT&T, Verizon's, et cetera, of the world, and how is IBM currently helping them? A lot to unpack there.
Oh, I know, right? Well, I mean, IBM Security itself is a big. We have multiple different services that we offer, services and product that we offer within the IBM Security umbrella. Um, as within X4, so we just pretty much focusing more on the attacks. And I could speak more on the attack part versus like the defense and protection part of things. So if you go on the IBM Security in general and find out, you could find out more information on what IBM itself as a company is doing to in order to like help company protect themselves.
Great, thank you. Um, we have somebody who is considering becoming an auditor or a pen tester, and they'd like to know, how's your lifestyle? Can you work remotely? What are the hours like? And thanks again for all the amazing nuggets you had to share.
Yes. Yes, I work remotely, and but then go sometimes into the office. A lot of the position in this area is actually they are remote. A lot of people within my team work remote. So my typical day is probably from 8:30 to 5:30. what my typical day looks like is sometimes I could have like meetings and different things to attend. So I just need to be able to make sure that I go to all the client meetings and things like that. So they assigned us like different projects, different tests. For example, I do a lot of the external testing, which comes with minimal information and things like that. And then they give you like a time frame to like pretty much trying to exploit the system. Once you have used the time frame to exploit the system, then they also give you more time to like put down the report. um, Even though that we have like a set amount of time for 8:30 to 5:30, it is very flexible depending on the assignment that you own and how, how fast you're working through them, and what you actually have to do, because we also work on like other like internal things, and these are things that pretty much you volunteer to help, because a lot of the time if you don't have any test, now you start working on processes on the inside, and these are things that not necessarily required but recommended that you take part of. So that's pretty much what it is. It's very work and life balance is very laid back, as you know, on the red team, versus probably like incidents respond, that I think everybody always kind of like, you have to kind of always be ready to like jump, like get up in the very last minute to go and save or work with a company that is being attacked and things like that. So it is very laid back. 8 to 5:30, Monday to Friday. Sometimes you get a client who don't want you to play with the system during the day, and now you have to like do it in a different time, and in all that, it just kind of depends on which client you're working on.
Good to know. Okay, another question. I'm currently doing my master's in operations and technology management. I'm
Mhm.
planning to work in the cybersecurity field. What first step do you recommend taking after graduation?
And just like you say, you would like to work in a cybersecurity field. I would give you the same advice that was given to me, which is really identify. Are you going to be doing auditing? Are you going to be doing like you need to really identify which area that you will want to focus on, and then go from there.
Okay. What should future interns know before applying for IBM cybersecurity internship?
Okay, IBM. Okay, IBM does. We do have internship and apprenticeship. Apprenticeships are usually intern, of course, are for people with a 4-year background, college in science, in computer science, and all that. But then we also have apprenticeship that would take people that don't have that traditional path, right? So one of the things that you should be really make your resume very intentional on the position that you're applying for, right? They could be a lot of the time, like when we submit this application, they kind of go through this AI and is looking for keywords, and like, so you need to just make sure that your application, your resume actually hit the keyword in the industry that you are trying to get in. So really pay attention to that, because a lot of good people could like miss that opportunity just because the initial step is just AI looking for a specific thing that you have not mentioned, and you get eliminated out of the process. And I've seen that happen. I remember going through like a conference, and there was a young lady who came to me and was like, oh, I applied for internship and never heard anything and this and that. And she had her resume, and I was like, I'll take a look at it, and I will pass it up. So I passed it up to my supervisor, and I was like, she said she'd apply. We can find her anywhere, but then she was already on the rejected. um, but then we looking at the resume, but we're like, but she's a good fit. But why? How come she didn't go through? And then he was like, anyway, AI does it sometimes. I will reach out to her. So like when you don't have that, like when that internal person like she had me, it is you have to try to do everything that you can to like pretty much understand, what is that the particular position that you're applying for, looking for, and trying to really get the keywords within your resume so that you could actually first bypass the the AI. Then when actually interviewing, like when interviewing, I feel like really knowing why you want to do this, not knowing, really tuning in into your why will give you a lot more confidence and the ability to speak on it with passion, and the person that is interviewed will be able to see that, and then you could actually also speak on your skills that you have on your resume.
Thank you for that. Okay, we have about 5 minutes and we still have a lot of questions to get to, so we'll try to do a few of these a little quicker. In short, Cecile, can you tell us a timeline of how long it took you to get to where you are?
Um, it took me, I would say, let's say the 7 months for the uh, uh, for the certification, and probably like 6 months before that, just learning on my own, trying to trying to get everything on my own. But then after I got my certification, that original certification, it took me 2 months to secure a job.
Okay.
And I feel like that only did it because I was able to like create those personal projects that I worked on, and I was really very able to speak on it. So it didn't take me that long,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah, no. Great, thank you. How did you overcome any feelings of self-doubt while completing your first few personal projects?
Yes. I don't even know if I ever overcame it, actually. um, I think that my just me remembering why I needed to do this, and me knowing that that's kind of was like my last what can I say, my last lifeline, right? To like stay above water and get a job and like create the life that I wanted to. Um, so that was one of my very personal encouragement behind really pushing through and being able to complete these personal projects. And I also used everybody that I could within my network. If I was stuck, communication, you're gonna ask a lot of questions. And it's still that even in my day-to-day work today. It's like a lot of things come up, you're like, oh, I never seen this before. How do I go through this? Then you bounce it on somebody else, then somebody else come, and the constant research, trying to like pull things up, really will like play the key will play a big role into kind of like overcoming those roadblocks as you're working into your own personal projects.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. We are getting a lot of people asking too. There are some IBM specific questions, getting a role there, sort of some requirements too. And then I've had additional questions for LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn? Is this something that people might be able to reach out to you one-on-one to get a little bit more information about IBM specific roles?
I am on LinkedIn. And yes, like if you could connect with me on LinkedIn, I will be happy to like to look and see what I could do within my within with within the perimeter of what I could do. Yes. Um,
Okay.
I think that, I mean, it's just my first name, and then the way I have my LinkedIn set up is hard for you to just search me. So, but if you just put Cecile IBM, I think I will be one of the first people to pop up. But if you put my first and last name, you can't find me. Just I have it set up in that way on purpose.
Okay. So Cecile and IBM for everybody who's looking to connect with Cecile on LinkedIn. That's the best way to find her. And then we have one more minute. I'm going to take this one last question. Cecile, it was a great inspirational speaking. I would like to ask you if you have any tips for someone who is not an English speaker, if you see in the industry any language barrier.
Yes, I am not an English speaker, as you could see. English is like my third language. The first thing is like not get intimidated by like trying to focus too hard on like the technical aspect of the language, right? Because that's what intimidated me a lot as well. Um, Especially within like hacking, it's a lot. I mean, we speak to clients here and there, but most of our work is very hands-on, straight up with computers, and dealing just with computers a lot of the time. We do speak to clients, but not that often. And then we do have the ability to like if you need help in that area, somebody else on your team could probably step up and do that. So the only thing I could say is don't let the language barrier, especially if you know your thing, don't let that be like a thing that stops you from like really jumping and taking that steps.
Great. Thank you for that. And we are all out of time, but there are, like I said, there's a few questions that that were unanswered. But if you guys can all connect with Cecile on LinkedIn, I'm sure she's happy to try to get to some of those for you. We will be sharing the recording, and if there's any additional attachments too, we can send that out so you have those resources. But Cecile, thank you so much. This was such an inspirational presentation all around. I wish we could get to all these questions here, and I wish you could see all these comments, but you will receive a copy as well. So thank you so much. If you have anything else you want to add in before we wrap it up, I'll turn it back to you.
Yes. Let me go back to my slides. Let me go back to my slides. Oh, okay. So I'm trying to see how there was few things that I wanted uh to talk to like kind of leave you with. Let me see, why is it not okay? Yeah, so some few key takeaway that I want you to take is that it's never too late to get started to get into cybersecurity, because I know that was one of the things that was my that was holding me back a whole lot. Because if I felt like every time I ask somebody a story about how did they get into cybersecurity, especially hacking, how did you start hacking, and a lot of people will always just say, I when I was 5 years old, my daddy bought me a computer and I did this, and I was like, and I'm like, well, it's too late for me, so I can't do it. But I just wanted to let you know, key takeaway: it's never too late. Um, Non-traditional paths are acceptable, and there's room for you to create your own path to get into cybersecurity. You can develop the skills that you need. Like, it is like the technical part is I feel like is the easy part sometimes, and then you just know what you bring to the table and be true to it. Stay positive and really, really believe in yourself, and nothing is impossible. So I just kind of want you to have that as a takeaway. And thank you so much for joining. And I hope my story was able to inspire you and get you to start thinking like maybe getting creative approach into getting into this industry, or even just kind of like give you an insight or an encouragement that you was looking for to like fully step into it. Thanks.